Welcome everybody into the Forest Lake Ranger Football Report. I'm Noah Casa.
And I'm Joel Geist.
And it was an eventful game on Friday, to say the least. We predicted it. It was a pretty easy prediction, but I think we learned a lot, and there's a lot of valuable lessons that can be taken from a game like that, even when it gets as out of hand as it got there right about halftime, and then we kind of throttled back, I'd say, after halftime.
Yeah.
But a lot of good experience for kids that are going to be starting for us next year.
Also, you never know. You might be relying on one of those guys come November if, we have an injury. Richie, he's filled in nicely for Mac when he's been gone, and
100%.
That's it. You never know when it's next man up, and that's a big thing. And one thing that I will be changing, normally we do players of the game at the end of the game, and I thought about it this week when I kind of went off. I kind of went off. So I didn't do the player that contributed the most.
Sure, yeah.
I want my next man up player of the week is going to be my guy.
Okay.
That's the guy that hasn't been playing. All of a sudden we just see him and he splashes a little bit. That's going to be my pick, not the player of the game.
Well,
and you
perfect.
Can be the player of the game.
Then that gives us two ways of going at it.
Right.
I like that.
So
on-air production meeting. Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you have for takeaways for the Park Cottage Grove game?
Takeaways, I believe that, our linebacker crew is still very solid.
Studs.
Very solid. And my next man up award last week was Aiden Wass Lake, and he came in and absolutely just blew up a couple of plays. There was a forced fumble that they recovered. So, and he was involved in a lot of those plays on the edge there. And I'm going to say that he was a great, it says,
Wiley Waslake, both with 5 total tackles, led the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, this was one of the first weeks that he came out. He just came out and made a big splash. And Aiden, you are the originator of the Next Man Up Award.
Nice. Congratulations.
So, congratulations to you.
Yeah, I think it was funny because in the pregame, we talked about our 3-headed monster on defense with Drago, Christensen, and Howie. And they had games and were in on just about every tackle.
Absolutely.
But I felt like even in the first half, there was a lot more of a variety of names that we were calling before, we were putting in underclassmen.
Right.
And I think that just goes to show what a team effort that the Rangers have been building, a team culture. I have not heard of anybody getting frustrated with playing time or getting frustrated that this should have happened, but coach went with it. It's just, it seems like we have that culture of I'm here to work for the team.
Yep.
And team first. And I love it. I love seeing it because I've been on a handful of teams that were not so much like that. And it makes a very toxic culture.
And I'm not going to say that as far as Park's culture goes, Park, and before we start talking a lot about the game, and if it did get out of hand for them, but they are going through enormous injuries that they had 3 quarterbacks down. They
have 2 left in the system from 9th grade to senior.
So, a big shout out to Park and all their coaches and all their players. We hope speedy recoveries to all of them. Number 3, Zach Carr went down, and that was, I don't know if you took a look at it on the replay or
I
not.
did
but,
not go back. I was going to, and I never did.
Yeah, that did not look good, but we hope that he's doing better. And you never know. I mean, kids are elastic, can be elastic, where, me as an old man, if that happened to me, I would be in a cast for months. So you never know. It might, and we didn't hear one way or the other. Also, big thanks to everybody for bearing with us. We had a number of things that kind of went wrong in the beginning of that broadcast, along with through the first half. We had cameras go down. We had a number of things. Just the rain causes problems with all of the cables, with all the power. So it is good that we held it together long enough just so you could get one camera view instead of having multiple shots and things like that.
Well, and that's a huge testament to the crew that we got being able to fight through those
right.
on the fly.
They were definitely fighting through a lot, and it got kind of hectic. And and also a big thanks and a correction. I'll speak of two corrections that we need to have. Mrs. Lazchek, thank you very much. The cookies were great. Mm-hmm. Even though I am trying to lose a few LBSs, they kind of put me over for the day, but that's okay. They were great. And also we didn't really have enough time to really chat and get something going, but they kind of came up late, and it was right before the broadcast, so we were kind of hurrying through that. So sorry, Stefan, we didn't really get to say hi. I would have loved to say hi and see how you were doing, which also in the next couple of weeks here, maybe we'll look back on some of the guys that have been, prior years past.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a few of these games that maybe we're going to be looking for things to talk about from the game, because it kind of just got off the rails a little quick for the other team, and
yeah.
So once again, big thanks to Stefan Lazchek, and I am sorry for butchering his name all of last year, and now Niall Lazchek. I will work on that. That is my bad. Also, one other correction: Brooks Roney, apparently by our not Roan, which, just so you know, those names that we said and we just kept saying it, that means that you're getting mentioned a lot, and we don't have to look at the
We don't have
roster
time to get all the way over the pronunciation thing. It's just a quick.
And if we say it once, or you say it once or twice, and then that's just
what
how
your name
that's
is
just how it goes. And if you have any of those that you would like to come up and tell us that we're saying it wrong, absolutely, please do that.
Okay, so diving into Park Cottage Grove. Obviously, everything was clicking. The Strib has us moved up to 4th in the rankings among all classes. Right behind, we got Maple Grove, Minnetonka, and Shakopee. And their little comment for the Forest Lake game was the most complete game. Oh, it went away. Most complete game of the season for the Rangers. And I couldn't agree with that more.
Absolutely. I mean, there is also, I think that it was also one of the easiest opponents that we have faced, just due to their injuries. Also, just not as complete of a program. Prior Lake is, and I've been watching them, and they've played solid through the season. So everybody kind of, was a little bit down on Prior Lake, and Prior Lake has played pretty well through the rest of the season. Also, Anoka, they've played people tough too. So it's a situation where, yes, you're expected to win, and you should expect to win. and win resoundingly. But one thing I will say, the defense played amazing. Also, the backup defense played amazing because the goose egg is hard to put on the board. No matter who they are, a goose egg is hard to put against somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the offense did a fantastic job. Rushing, DJ Westman put on a show. Drago, 70 yards on the ground. And Richie stepping it up with 60 this week is a huge improvement from, I believe, a week ago. It was only like 14, 15, somewhere in there. Got a lot of guys going in the rushing offense just because of where we were at. I think Sam Lutz coming in, he only got 4 carries. And with those 4 carries, he was pretty decent, averaging 5 yards a pop. It's 5 yards a carry is a pretty good average. And actually, if we look at his average, it was 6.2. So
he did break one that was
solid.
I think he broke one off for like 15.
Yeah.
And it is, and everybody that came in on the offensive line played very well. That came in later as well. And I think if I remember right, the starters played a little bit longer than I would have expected them to.
Yeah, I think there were like 2 or 3 times you were like, do we pull the starters now? And then they went back out there.
So I think it was like
they played well into the
third quarter.
Yeah.
So I wasn't quite expecting that. I was expecting to see that a little bit earlier. And then also what we had spoke about before is Connor Johnson definitely did a bit more of the uncomfortable throws that we were talking about. Like, hey, we're gonna do a couple of things that we don't normally do, and this is not our normal offense, but we're gonna try it in a game just to see. So we're playing against a defense that doesn't know what we're doing. It's not like practice, because practice a lot of times they're gonna have an idea what's gonna happen. So it's one of those things that we definitely did try some different things, a little bit more downfield passing on some of the pass attempts that, maybe be a little bit more safe when you're playing a solid opponent. And this one, they kind of aired it out a little bit more, and your completion percentage definitely drops when
when you're throwing more.
So
you can only go so long on that completion percentage that we were talking about last week. I was trying to pull up the stats here for Connor on the season. So 23-28 completion percentage, 82.1. It's still nothing to wave your finger at, but 3 touchdowns on the year so far, no interceptions. Big deals, limiting turnovers. We got no fumbles and no interceptions thus far through the season.
Well, I think the biggest thing that we need to work on that I saw was there were some of those option plays that were a little bit dicey.
Sure.
And it was a good job that he hung on to them. There was one or two, I think last week, that were a little bit late. That against a good defense, I definitely would not try that again. And that, that's all timing and the thing, but you're also up, so it's not a huge, like, if you're going to try it, now's the time to try it. And there was a couple of those options that, had it been a close game, I definitely wouldn't wanted him to pitch it right away. Also, just how far you are away on the pitch matters too. And just how, because there was one of those ones that was, the option guy they were both right there, but there was a defensive guy knifing in, and he looked like he wanted to, and if the defensive player would have put his hand up, probably knocks that ball out, and it's going to the house for a touchdown.
Yeah. No, I think that is still this year one significant area of improvement for the Rangers. Last year, a lot of those speed option plays looked a hair shaky, and I was very uncomfortable when I saw him split out and start that part of the play. This year, I'm a lot more comfortable with it and not waiting for what's going to go wrong on this play. Where, especially like last year at Mounds View, there was that was a cataclysmic failure of that play. And I think the way that we've obviously put the time in, practicing the timing and everything, like you said, I think we've seen Connor a couple of times go, I could pitch this and make something happen, or I could just take the hit and live to see another down. And most of those plays are normally only like 2-yard losses anyways. So in the grand scheme of things, unless it's a third down or whatever, we're not losing a whole lot in the field position game. You're just losing a down. And if it's on first and second down, I'm more than okay with that than coughing the ball up and giving the other team a shot to go down and score. I think right here, reading these stats, that's a huge improvement from last year, because early on in the year we had some not so great decisions throwing the ball that led to an interception or two. Mac, although in both games, he more than made up for it with breaking a run later on. And Mac knows he had 2 big-time fumbles early on in the season.
Right.
His mom was on him. I talked to Becky all the time. His mom, she told us to give him some crap for it. So the fact is, we've cleaned up. We're playing a much better brand of football this year. And obviously, because of that, we are squeaking out close games and winning. And I mean, we've done it before, but they've been a lot cleaner. There's a handful of penalties here and there that I think that we could clean up, but we're not nearly as bad as, say, Park last week had a lot of undisciplined play, and we showed that we were a superior team that way. If we can keep the season rolling that way and just choose to let other teams beat us instead of Forest Lake beating Forest Lake, which it seems has been the theme for the last 10 years, I'm more than happy with the trajectory that we're on.
I'll say that, you know, in the last 10 years, you may be correct. However, in the last 3,
100%. Yep.
In the last 3, since B-Scout has taken over, they have cleaned up a lot of that.
Yes.
And a lot of that is more of the culture of the team. Guys know when they mess up, they know that it's, rather than just saying my bad and forgetting about it, like these guys feel it. Like they feel like
they're going to hear about it when they get to the sideline.
Right. Well, they're going to hear about it.
Be animated,
yes.
And he gets on everybody, and that's good.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I remember from playing football, when a coach quits harping on you and quits being hard on you, that's a bad thing.
Right.
They've lost faith in that player, and you got to do everything you can to get back in his good graces. If you come off the field and you did everything right, and your coach picks out the 3 negatives, to me, that's a good thing, because it means he expects just that little bit more better.
And that's also a part of the culture of the team. Like, hey, we're just trying to get better.
Yep.
And, you know, before, you know, you can have coaches that just yell to yell.
Yep.
I mean, I've had those coaches. Like,
we've all had them.
We've all had those coaches that, hey, I'm just yelling to yell because nobody listens if I don't yell, and I'm just yelling. And so when you come off, like, as long as they're valid points. And one other thing that we saw, you know, they go to, a lot of the starters are going to the screen right away, see what they did, what they can do differently. Like we were talking, Howie Johnson, the whole right before
Howie would sit on the bench and look at film
before halftime came out, he was looking at a quick few plays, maybe something that the coach told him about, maybe something, but he was over there by himself, rewinding it and going in and taking a look at a play, which, you know, that just shows dedication of a team, and, you know, let's just keep that rolling. Also, there's a lot more energy on the field, you know, a lot more energy from younger players. One in particular that continues to show energy is Logan Speckle, number 77, the left tackle. He is always pumping up the team, and it's just a great culture. How he's doing it on the defense, making, you know, even if there's penalties against the Prior Lake, like, he was one of the guys just like, hey, let's chill. We know that this is going to happen. We can't do anything about it. We can only help. We can only work on the next play.
Yep.
And there's a lot of those leaders out there that hopefully, you know, some of these underclassmen that are playing with those leaders this year are going to pick up that torch and carry it on for next year.
Yeah. Do you got anything else that you'd like to recap for the Park game? Any more thoughts?
I thought that DJ Westman did a really good job catching the edge. We kind of talked about it in the pregame last time about taking one cut and go, and against this Park defense, he got the edge quite often, and those were two of the big. Well, there's two really big runs that he got all the way out to the sidelines, and it was great. That's not always going to happen because those corners are not going to be. You're going to see better corners over the course of the season, and you can't do that against really good corners. So let's take it as it was. It's a great job. You had 2 touchdowns rushing. What was the other one? I think it was 2 rushing touchdowns.
One stats here have him for 1 receiving, 1 rushing.
Okay, 1 receiving.
Yeah, 1 receiving because it was that route out to the right side of the end zone.
Right.
North end zone.
So great job there. I still Richie did a good job. Richie did a good job making 1 cut.
The biggest thing, Richie this week seemed to come into it with the headspace this week rather than last week of hitting the hole, lowering his shoulder, getting through people, breaking tackle. The first week against Anoka seemed like there were a couple of times contact would happen and he'd go right down right away. I haven't seen a running back in a while make a switch in 1 week of like, all right, I just got to play with my hair on fire and run people over and not let that first contact break me down. And he did a great job of that this week.
Well, and I think that's also he had an extra week of preparation. You see Matt go down in that game, in the game against Prior Lake, and then you don't know if he's going to be okay. You don't know who's going to be starting. You don't know who's going to step up. You don't know what the offense is going to look like. Drago in the last 2 weeks has definitely taken a huge brunt of those carries and done amazing up the middle. Drago's yards after contact have to be amazing. We don't have that stat. Nobody even tracks it in high school. But I am going to say that on the team, Drago's yards after contact have to be the highest.
Yeah, I would not doubt that.
Because he just doesn't go down. It takes 2 or 3 guys to take him down. And he is looking to run over people rather than run around them. He is looking to make a statement all the time, and good job to him. He's taken on a much larger role as kind of a power back that, he was kind of the move tight end before and just kind of, did whatever you had to do and really cleaned up in the blocking game that, now we're seeing other guys kind of come up and step up and do that.
Yeah. Are you ready to move on to Woodbury, or do you have any last thoughts a second time?
I think we're good.
Okay. Well, we can go through some scores quick from last week. I'm just going to try and fly through them here. Minnetonka took on Moorhead 47-21. Minnetonka gets the win. Blaine over Anoka 41-30. Osseo over Rogers 24-14. Centennial over Champlain Park 31-10. Andover Coon Rapids 55-14. Lakeville South beat Lakeville North 28-12. Rosemount beat Prior Lake 21-17. Maple Grove took it to Mounds View 49-14. Shakopee all over Stillwater 49-28. Woodbury over Hopkins 35-14. Farmington over White Bear Lake 22-6. STMA over Wyzetta 15-14. Barn burner there. Eden Prairie over Edina 40-19. East Ridge over Roseville 23-0. And Egan over Eastview 28-13. So going off of that score and the big win that Woodbury got over Hopkins last week, coming into this week, what are your thoughts on Woodbury?
Well, Woodbury, I would expect to have a lot of problems against this Forks Lake defense. You got Howie Johnson, you got Nate Schleif, AJ Wiley, Andrew Johnson, all on the front line doing very well, and they make it nearly impossible to have to double team people, and so Howie does get a little bit more room to roam, and also,
Especially when we start blitzing Colby and the linebacking crew and all that, it gets very hairy up front.
right. I mean, you have three fairly new to varsity names in the linebacking crew that have really stepped up this year. You have Derek Loomis, you have AJ Degerstrom, and now Aiden Wass Lake. All of those guys have been very good at setting the edge and not letting anybody get around them. And that's also Brooks Roney and Drago. All have played linebacker, so we've had a solid job on the edge, especially last week and even against Anoka. They were getting a little bit towards the edge on the outside, and Anoka ran it a little bit more, and those guys kind of started to come into their own as far as like, hey, this side is mine. You're not going to get to the outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think just looking at the defensive thing, or the defensive stats for each team, Woodbury this year has only given up 1 sack. Look for that stat to change completely. Woodbury themselves has 4 sacks this year that their defense has gotten. However, Forest Lake is sitting at 10 right now, which I believe, I'd have to relook it up when I get home, but I believe that puts Forest Lake at 1 or 2 in sacks for our division or conference, whatever you want to call it, section, conference. So I think, like you said, the defense is going to have a big day. They definitely seem to be a running team more than passing team. They have attempted 65 passes or 66 passes. They've run the ball 103 times.
I mean, that's actually
I would say it's a pretty normal.
It's a pretty normal, because that's actually quite a few more than Forest Lake has attempted as far as passes.
Yeah, 100%. I would say that Forest Lake is also one of those teams that very much likes to run the ball.
But also Woodbury has played games that they've been out of contention for a while, so if they try to get back into the game, they must pass in order to get there. So it looks like when they get down, they probably do pass a lot more, and up until the point of, hey, we're down by 3 touchdowns, they might try and run a little bit, but then go more to the pass and lean more on the pass, because that's just not working. I personally don't see too much of their offense having very much success against the Forest Lake defense.
Anyways, I think that Forest Lake is going to have a pretty good matchup against Woodbury this year. Woodbury has not had the best last couple seasons. However, this year they kept it close with Moorhead, a team that a lot of people are liking. They just came up to 6A, and they've been playing very well this year. They lost to Moorhead 34-27, which isn't really exactly getting blown out by any means. Their 2 wins on the year so far is Roseville and Hopkins, which those 2 teams have not had the best of seasons lately, and they're just struggling schools as far as football goes right now. Forest Lake has played those 2 teams a few times in the past few years. Hopkins, I believe 3 years ago, B-Scouts first year, we won 72-0.
Yeah, Hopkins is.
So beating either of those 2 teams, I don't hang a whole lot of merit with those 2 wins. I think that they're a very average 2-1 team. And looking at margin of victory on those two, I think Forest Lake playing Roseville or Forest Lake playing Hopkins this year, either one of those two teams, that score is going to look a lot different than Woodbury hanging 23-0 on Roseville and 35-14 on Hopkins.
Yeah.
So I think that this one is going to be one that they might give the Rangers a run for their money. It's going to be one of those ones that you can't sleepwalk into the game because Woodbury will make you pay. Park, you had a little bit of that buffer where if you didn't come with your A game at the first half, you can always chase them down in the second half. But Woodbury, I feel like, is going to be one of those teams that if you come out and you kick them in the teeth right away, they might start shutting down. But if you let Woodbury hang in there and give them any sort of light at the end of the tunnel, it could go the wrong way.
Well, right.
If you're not careful.
Well, I mean, any game
100%.
in high school can go the wrong way.
Yep.
If you're not prepared. Clearly they have to prepare, and I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see the return of the diesel or not. If Mac
That'd be a huge help.
is back, that would be a huge help to, really solidify the running game. Make it so there is less of an X factor on the scheme that we need to do in order to keep the offense rolling. But I think in the last 2 weeks, they've really found a way to win by giving multiple people. And, that's kind of been Brad's hallmark of the last couple of years. We've had a number of great players, and yeah, he would kind of feed one of them a lot, but he also schemed plays for, in the past, there's been Hoyt, Patzer, a number of guys that, really stepped up. And, even when Mark Rendell was here, he came in, played tight end. And if you're making solid plays this last 2 weeks, I think that these guys that have stepped up have now made it so they're not going to really rely on Mac as much. Like he might not have 20-some carries like he had in, game one. Because, which, sometimes running backs need, 5-10 carries to actually get into the game. Yeah. And, that sometimes that's what you need. But Mac doesn't seem like that guy. He kind of comes out with the engine revved up, and he's ready to release the diesel.
Yeah, I think looks like going by box score here, Woodbury has put up basically the most amount of points this season in the second quarter. I know that they've put up one more point in the fourth, but looking at the Moorhead game, looks like a decent amount of that 27 that they scored was in the fourth quarter. That game was 34-6, 34-13 for most of the game. They put up some points late. So I think that right there, I would be circling second quarter and going into half. If you can have these guys down going into half, that's going to be a key to the game in keeping them out of it in the second half, and make them really have to come from behind. And it does look like the first three quarters are when the opposing teams are scoring the most points against them. They've thrown 5 touchdowns, which is right about where Connor is so far this year. But they've thrown 3 interceptions with the no fumbles. So they're doing a fairly good job of turnovers. Maybe a quarterback towards the end of the game trying to make something happen and throwing a ball up.
Right.
In high school, it's kind of one of those things that we talk about a decent amount on that third and long. Just drop back and throw one as deep as you possibly can. It's basically a punt.
Yeah.
Rushing 100 yards, 521 for Woodbury so far this season. They're averaging 5.1 a carry. like we were talking about earlier, that's not a bad ratio. So I think that the run part will be a test for the
Well,
Ranger
and
wrecking crew, but I think we've proved time and time again that average changes when you come to the Ranger Stadium.
well, right, and also, what I was getting for back to is the linebacking crew. Now with 3 games under their belt,
Yeah, they're
you
flying
know,
around now.
they're flying around and they're finding those guys and they're closing up those holes, and sealing the edge so they're not getting to the sideline and they're if your linebacker can be in there and force that guy to the middle, now hey, guess what? I got 3 friends that are right on the right coming up. If I don't get them, they're probably gonna get them, and that's on this defense. It's a very unselfish defense, is
Yeah.
what I would say. Like people aren't really like, oh man, I needed that sack. Like everybody knows that Howie Johnson is going to flush the quarterback to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And Howie's right there celebrating with the guys that if they do end up with the sack on the other side. Like it's if AJ Wiley gets a big push from the middle and then he pushes him back, he might not get the sack, but he made him hold up enough just so somebody else can get it. There's a number of plays that people don't see, and it doesn't go in the stat sheet, but with how this team is working, everybody's trying to work as a team rather than, hey man, I really need this sack and I'm going to give up everything. They're not giving up edge contain just to try and get a tackle for a loss. Like they know, hey, I got to hang home, and if somebody else comes in and gets a tackle, that's great.
Mm-hmm. Looking at the player stats for Woodbury, something that ratio that we were talking about, run to pass being fairly normal, kind of has me flipped around a little bit. I've not gotten to watch a full Woodbury game yet, so I can't say with certainty exactly what their offensive scheme is. But looking at stats on a sheet, I would say their offense probably either consists of something with more of an option offense, as their running back and quarterback are fairly close on attempts for the year, and they're only off by about 60 yards in total rushing yards, and those two are by far and away the leading carriers on this team. Brandon Fortune here with 81 yards, pretty close third, but everybody else is starting to fall off. So either there's that option thing, or, which would potentially be great for our defensive line and Howie Johnson's chance of sacks, you have a fairly mobile quarterback here that is dropping back to pass, and a large chunk of those rushes that are being counted on the stat sheets were passes, but before the pass not being thrown, quarterbacks pulling it down and running with the ball. Maybe it leads you to believe that their offensive line can give up some pressure if that's the case in the scheme. Like I said, I can't make any of those assumptions based on the fact that I haven't watched a Woodbury game yet. I hope to either tonight or tomorrow and get a better idea of how the team runs for Friday. But it's looking to me, I mean, they got some pretty dang good receivers here that are all around 120, 119, 170 yards. Rakowski, he's got 3 receiving touchdowns. So it looks like they got a couple of main weapons, but I think the difference between like a team like the Rangers and Woodbury is they got 3 or 4 main weapons, and the Rangers have, especially after last week, we got a depth chart of guys that can come in and carry the load.
Well, right, and that's one thing that Forest Lake has played 2 close games, and last week we were able to see what we have. Maybe this week with Woodbury is another one of those weeks that, hey, later on, fourth quarter we're going to find out. Third quarter, fourth quarter, we're going to find out who we have that's also going to step up. But I do really believe that this Forest Lake defense and offense both have a lot of talent waiting. And everybody that's come up, you got Richley. Richley that's come up and stepped up. Now you have Aiden Wass Lake that's stepped up. There's a whole bunch of those guys in this Forest Lake program that I think are really looking to get some time. And you know what? I think this is an unselfish team, and they're ready to put up some points and maybe get those guys in again. Because it's fun for everybody that you practice with. If, hey, you get in the game, hey, yeah, man, it was awesome. And you remember that play? Like, if you don't get a chance to be under the big lights, it helps everybody on the team, for everybody to get that little feeling like, hey, man, I made a great play. Did you see that? Did you see that?
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to a lot of these guys coming in and finding guys that can step up when needed. So, like I said, I am very happy to switch my player of the game call at the end of the game, if you watch, to the next man up award. So I'm really hoping that we can find a new star in the rough.
All right, I like it. If you have been watching lately, Joel, you've been on quite the run as far as your over-under numbers.
Ooh, yeah.
As we're closing out here, do you have a prediction for this week?
Well, let's see. In
You've been within
3 games,
2 or 3 points of just about every single line you've
3
thrown
games,
out there.
and let's see, 3 games and over 100 points. I have been off by my total by 4 points. So, well, let's see. I'm going to say, and once again, I am going to give a total number for both teams. I'm not going to give a score.
You add those.
Add them together.
Add them
And
together.
The over-under number that I have for this game is 62.
62. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I like that. I think with my prediction, I'm going to say, I just think in the past couple of years, it's been very hard to beat this team at home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been next to impossible to beat them during the homecoming game. And I think coming off of a win like we had last week is going to have the boys ready for some extra juice. And I think that maybe the game doesn't get as crazy as it did last week. But I think the difference between a Forest Lake and a Moorhead team is I think Forest Lake defense maybe doesn't take their foot off the gas after some other players filter in.
Right. I mean, there's probably more depth
Correct.
in this line just because we do have a very experienced couple of players that rarely come off, but also rarely give good players a chance to get on the field because you're never taking them out. So I think that I think that if you just look at it, it's kind of like when you look at NFL in the preseason, which team has more depth by how well their second offense or their second defense does. And I think this Forest Lake team is really stacked along multiple positions. And yes, I would agree with you that I don't think that the Forest Lake defense falls off. I'm not gonna say that they're not going to score in the second half nearly as much as they have against these other teams, but I would be shocked if there is a huge fall off from team 1 to team 2 when they decide to put them in, just because that number 1 offense is going to be tired. If they're still out there, they're going to come in And now the second defense comes in against their starters that are already tired. So it's one of those things that I don't think there's going to be a huge fall off between team 1 and team 2 that come in. And it's not just a team. It's just, hey, we're going to platoon a couple more players in, rotate them in and out. And I really think that this team works together so well that we're not relying on one person to do it all. Andrew Johnson, AJ Wiley, and Adrian Irish, all of those guys were platooning back and forth through most of the game. So, like on defensive line, you have quite a few guys, and a couple of the guys that the names are just escaping me right now, but that have come in and kind of done that. Hey, these guys have been out there for a while. They've been running. Like, say you have a really long drive, and then maybe a quick turnover or something, and then you got to go and play defense again. And it's not we're taking you out. It's just we want a fresh guy on, a large human being in the front, and that's whoever's fresh and whoever has the conditioning to stay out there. As long as they're good, they're fine. But a lot of times, if you have that little drop off, those guys that are all just fighting for that second and third spot in the defensive line, they're all really good. And this guy that's fresh coming in, if you can platoon 3 or 4 of those guys in and out, that's a huge advantage to the defense.
Yeah. So going off of that, I think I'm going to go Ranger win, and I'll give a score. I think we're going to do what Moorhead should have done. Hold them off through the fourth quarter. I think our score is going to end up 34-13.
Okay.
Is going to be my prediction.
All right. Well, I went with, I'm not going to say it's going to be as lopsided as, the Park game. That got a little out of hand. And like I said, throwing a goose egg against anybody is tough. I expect for Woodbury to have, with a holding my feet to the fire, I'm going to say Woodbury scores 21 points. 21 points. So 41-21 is my prediction.
What was your over-under?
62.
I thought it was 68.
62.
62? Okay. All right. Yeah, I like that.
So, I don't normally like predicting those lopsided games, but let's not look past Woodbury. Let's get it done, and
on to White Bear in the battle for the paddle.
On to White Bear in the battle for the paddle. Yes, absolutely. That's and a big thanks to everybody that has said. And one thing that we did get in the game, if you have people that are tuning in from further than Collinsville, Illinois, we need to know. So we need to know who's got the furthest relative watching our stream.
We want to know the reach of the stream. Yeah.
So if you know of somebody that, especially if you're outside of country, that's tuning in to our broadcast, that would be amazing. So we just want to see the reach that we have. Also, if you have any anecdotes of players,
Yeah.
Let us know.
Let us know. 2 hours early. If you see us, stop us.
Those games like against Park, we were looking for things to talk about. So if you have anything, little anecdotes that you want to stop either myself or Noah, and give us a little heads up. We might don't be offended if we don't put it in, but just if we have time, just like the who was it? The Roney family.
Mm-hmm.
He came up and said hi to us at the Anoka game and said that his
Rayfield
family. Yeah, Rayfield family. So if we can give a shout out, or if you have a birthday of grandparents or something that
Or a player.
or a player that you'd like us to mention. Yeah.
Well, we will see you on Friday. Homecoming. Come dressed in your maroon and gold. It's going to be a big game. It's going to be a good game. And we can't wait to be out there with you. Hopefully, I mean, we always like having high numbers on the stream, but let's absolutely pack the Ranger Stadium out for homecoming.
Oh, we have not had a problem with our numbers on the stream and the stadium being full.
Correct. So if you know anybody that isn't watching the stream that's in town, get them out to the game.
Right. And I'm Joel Geist.
I'm Noah Casa, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you.